This is Scott and Shane. We are Prepper Talk Radio, radio for the ready-minded.
Glad to be back.
We're excited to be here. Sorry last week we missed you. Put a replay on, and I had a death in the family, unexpected, and had to be pulled away. The funeral was actually during the broadcast time. So sorry I missed you guys, but I'm grateful that I was able to take care of family issues. Little 3-year-old cousin, one of the happiest people I've ever known. Like, just a joy to be around. Freak accident, and he's passed on.
Wow,
so,
3-year-old.
There's things we can prepare for in life, and there's things that we can't prepare for. And
that's a hard one.
That's a hard one. Yeah. And his family is just amazing, and he's survived by his mother, father, older brother and sister, and a little sister. So, they're just amazing people, and it really points out the fact that we are always on borrowed time. Everything we're doing, everything we have going on in life is not up to us. There's certain things we can do to make it shorter, and there's no guarantee we can make it any longer.
Certain things we shouldn't do to make it shorter, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's a nice little lead on. One thing I wanted to kind of bring back up from the beginning of the year when we started out with kind of not resolutions, but just looking at the new year is, my theme, I guess, for this year, finding my notes here, is 2018 a year of opportunity.
Yep.
Right. So instead of looking at this year of, look what's we're being oppressed with, and look at all these different trials and how we are forced to live our life because of the on-demand lifestyle and living with debt and all these burdens that we have. And as we open our eyes, as we've taken that red pill, we really see, man, we're not free. We do not live as free as our ancestors lived. And we can look at that and be down and be upset and be angry about it. But I choose to look at this year as a year of opportunity to become more prepared, to become more aware, to become more kind, more loving. And so that's why I wanted to just I guess, bring up to you and remind you, okay, 2018 is a year to get prepared, to a year of opportunity. And I think that is true. I absolutely believe that's true, that there's still a lot of opportunity, even though there's still a lot of stumbling blocks that have been placed in our way to get prepared, to make it more difficult to earn the money we need, to buy the things we need, to get our food storage, to buy that off-grid piece of land, which I'm still striving to get. That's my struggle, is to get.
You're so
get
like
grid.
Dead set to bug out.
I'm so jonesing to live off grid, to have a greenhouse, to live a more self-sufficient lifestyle. But unfortunately, that takes money. It's not like
I don't know. I'm watching a TV show called Alone, where they just go out in the wild.
No, that's true.
They don't need any money,
and a lot of people do,
but they don't survive very long. They tap out.
Yeah.
So
and exactly, I'm trying to set ourselves up for success. Where some people do that, they drop everything they have. And they'll move to the Ozarks, they'll move to a remote location, and not necessarily live off the land, but they'll do their work from there. They have a particular job that allows them to do that, and it's a hard life. It's still very difficult.
Well, a different type of hard.
It is.
Right? It's a manual labor life.
Yes.
Right. There's so much in life that we can do. It's funny because I've been talking to some leaders about leadership training and things like that with some of my clients, and it's interesting because there's the idea that you're laboring or you're building. You're not typically doing both. You can be a labor for hire, or you can be the leader and build something. And prepping is building, right?
Yeah, I like that.
We're building something better. We're building backup plans. We're building a safety net. We're building freedom and liberty. And that's why prepping is so important to me. And so if you guys, as we go through today, if you have a comment, if you have a question, please feel free to chime in. The number is 801-254-1640. Oh, and we've got a caller. Well, let's pull him on. Hey, thanks for calling Prepper Talk Radio here on Ktalk. You're on the air. You got a question or comment for us?
Hi, may I speak to the owner?
You're actually calling a live radio show.
Welcome to you're live on air.
So you called the wrong number.
I thought that might be a little too good to be true right there.
That was funny. Can I speak to the owner? I'm like, the owner of what? You're on a live radio show.
Scott's an owner. I'm an owner.
I am an owner of myself. So that's kind of the topic evolution for the day, right? It's you can either be building or you can be laboring. And what are we, oftentimes we're stuck with a job, so we're laboring for our future. We're laboring for our existence.
Someone else.
Right? We're laboring for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to preparedness, we're building for our own.
It's kind of more like building a pipeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about, are you hauling buckets or are you building the pipeline?
Right.
Working for somebody else feels like we're just constantly carrying and laboring, carrying buckets, right? Whereas prepping and trying to establish that self-sufficient lifestyle is that pipeline, that residual income, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, it's creating anti-fragility, and our good buddy Cache Valley Prepper talks about that all the time. Anti-fragility is the ability to rebound quickly, the ability to not have all of your legs knocked out from under you because you've got a solid foundation, diversified.
To thrive in a other than average, other than normal situation, outside of the daily normalcy that we see nowadays. Anti-fragility is that resilience in chaos.
I'll give you an example, an everyday example. Now, if you've got kids with cell phones, and I have this problem because I've got scouts. I've been a scoutmaster for a long time, and you all of a sudden turn off the Wi-Fi.
Oh my goodness!
How do they respond? That is called fragility, right?
That's a perfect example.
Whereas it's funny because if you turn off the Wi-Fi, they're freaking out. If you turn off the power, they're a little more like, oh, well, everything's affected. I can survive this.
But their phones are okay for a while.
For a little while.
Shut down the Wi-Fi, right?
Right. But it's interesting to see the mindset shift between those two. Turn off the power. You take a kid camping, they're okay. You take a kid and put them somewhere where the technology is there and turn it off, they freak out.
Well, I'm sure you and I were the same when we were kids. Power goes out. Yay, the power's out.
Oh,
we were excited about it, right?
Kids now don't do that.
No, because the Wi-Fi goes out, right? You can't charge your devices. And I know my kids like to run their phones right down to the last percentage there before they plug them in. Me, when it gets down to 92%, I got to plug it in.
Yep, and I've got a backup battery on my phone because of that very reason. All right, we got a caller. Let's bring him on.
Roll the dice.
Hey, thanks for calling Prepper Talk Radio. You're on the air. You got a question or comment for us? I think it's the same lady. She just hung up.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, call if you really want to talk to us. If you don't want to talk to us, don't call. The number is 801-254-1640. We're talking about anti-fragility. We're talking about simplifying today, and making sure you're focusing on the right priorities. And I think one of those things is learning how to live with less. And we were talking about this before we came on.
Yeah, kind of an opposite to our paradigm now, right? It's an alternative way of living. We're sold every day. We're told to buy more and more. Marketing, is of the devil.
That's what I work in.
That's what Scott works in. He's of the devil, right? Because they want us to buy.
I like to say El Diablo. It sounds less.
Okay, El Diablo. Okay, I like that.
From as a marketing standpoint, but no, you go to the grocery store, you walk down the shampoo aisle, right, and you see for guys, you walk down and you'll see sometimes there's a lot of different products, but you'll see, by and large, I can wash my hair. I can condition my hair, I can wash my body, and I can scrub everything that needs to be scrubbed with one bottle of one thing.
Okay.
Right? Whereas you walk down and look at the women's side of things, I have to have a separate hair conditioner, then a separate shampoo, and then a separate body wash, and then a separate exfoliant peel, and then a moisturizing mask, and then a this, and then
they have
that
for guys too.
But so much more broad, right? And it's because they're being marketed to that they need all those things. Whereas if you look back 20, 30 years,
be soft and supple, and because that's the sign of a woman, right?
20, 30 years, it was just a bar of soap,
right?
Well, and then another 30, 40 years before that, it was a homemade bar of soap that had everything, and you washed your hair with it, and your face with it, and your body with it, and your clothes. And to see people try to go back to that, it's kind of fun to watch.
Well, and I've mentioned this a million times, is that you look back to prepare for the future, look to the past to prepare for the future. And I think part of that is simplifying and minimizing, and I've mentioned that as well. And so what I think the things we wanted to kind of talk to you about today is, alternatives to our on-demand lifestyle, in that, we have hot water on demand. We have... we can use as much electricity is really cheap.
Water pressure.
Right? Yeah, we got water. Electricity is very cheap. We can leave lights on all day long, right? We can leave the water running and really not notice it on our bill. But how many of you are practicing?
I don't know how you're doing financially, but I noticed it on my bill pretty quick.
Well, no, my water bill had a leak in the line. almost three times.
Yeah.
No.
When I lived in
you know
Arizona,
what I mean, in
it
general.
was ridiculous. During the summer, the
They
AC
charge
rate,
more
like
for-
the heat rates and or the energy rates in the summer go up.
Yeah.
Right? Peak hours are 24 hours a day. And so I would spend 5 times as much in the summer keeping my house cool as I would in the winter.
Yeah, so I think the idea is to live with less right now before you are compelled to, right? So,
Like buy better so that you spend less
there's
overall.
another perfect aspect
Right.
of what I'm talking about as well. So essentially, I've gone to the only soap I use is bar soap. I don't have enough hair to necessitate shampoo and conditioner, right?
Wait,
so,
you don't throw conditioner in that 1/4 inch hair of yours?
No,
Oh man.
on my beard. Put it on my beard.
I don't put I've got
The
my
beard
my
oil.
hair's like 1.5 inches on top, and I don't think I've used conditioner more
Yeah.
than 3 times in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was
So-
out of curiosity.
Simplifying. Learning to do with less. Like, for example, kind of a lame and stinky example, but toilet paper, right? You can only store so much toilet paper for an emergency. How many of you are learning to live with less and conserve more of that mountain man money, as we used to refer to it, as scouts, or you're just using without even that crossing your mind, without being conscious of how much you're using and what effect or what impact it might have if the grid were down or if you weren't able to buy more or whatever the situation might be. I have taken that upon myself. My kids haven't. My wife hasn't. To use less and learn to be happy with that and to be conscious of that in whatever it might be: water, toilet paper, electricity, so forth.
Yep. Well, it's interesting because like when you go camping, you take just so much stuff with you.
You can't carry it. Yeah,
and you have so much toilet paper when it's gone, it's gone. Then what?
Especially when you're backpacking. That's a great point. Is you only have so much with you. You're like, okay, can I make this last until I get back to the vehicle where I've got more? Or
then you get back into our show that we did in the first year. And we talk about the smear method, right? You've also got sticks. You've also got Indian toilet paper,
knowledge,
right? But it all goes back to what do you know? Because knowledge, as long as you don't have a stroke or lose your mind, like you can keep that knowledge, right? And you can utilize that information in the future. But you've got to continue to hone that. And so let's go back to the simplification, right? Let's go back to one of the things we spend a lot of money on that is very quickly diminishing in value. What do you want?
I'll just turn that up.
Oh.
Right. Yes,
He's
sorry.
pointing, and I'm like, what? So, shoes.
Yes.
How many pairs of shoes do you
my
have,
goodness.
and how long do they actually last?
Yeah.
Like the pair of boots that I'm wearing right now have lasted me a year and a half.
And do you wear them until they wear out, or you just buy another pair because they look dirty? They look a little bit worn, right?
Do these look dirty?
Oh yeah, these are pretty darn worn.
These are.
Yeah.
And these are my cheaper.
And again, that comes
high-quality
back
boots.
to the lifestyle that we've been taught and been brainwashed to live in. Whereas that's only been in the past 50 years, or probably more. Because style is an important thing nowadays, right?
Absolutely. And it's funny how important, unimportant things have become. Right?
That's a great way to put it.
100 years ago, the thing that was the most important was your word, your character. And now it's your appearance. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we get back. You're listening to Prepper Talk Radio here on Ktalk AM 1640. Call us in after the break at 801-254-1640. Well, welcome back to Prepper Talk Radio here at Ktalk 1640. We are radio for the ready-minded, and we are so appreciative that you've tuned in, that you're participating with us. We actually have a caller on the line. Wanted to call and conversate.
Roll the dice.
All right, caller, you are on the air. We didn't even pre-screen you. Probably should have done that just so we can have an idea of what you want to talk about. But welcome to the show.
Well, first off, what was that thing they used to say, the pioneers used to say, use it up, make it last, do without? It was like the 5 or 6 parts of it. What was it
It's
all?
my grandma's favorite quote. I've heard that for
Use it up, wear it out.
Make it do or
do
without.
Yep. A motto that I've been learning to live by.
So
What was it all?
Use it up.
Say it again.
Okay, here we go. From the start, use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are different versions of that, obviously, as well. Very slightly.
That's my grandma Packer
that's the
from
one that
Idaho
I know
version.
best as well. So, and I think that there's a lot of meaning in there. There really is, and we've been so marketed to, so brainwashed, so told to do. Like Walmart, for example. Live better, right? Because you can buy more stuff, more crap that doesn't last long,
and you end up storing it or throwing it away.
You end up storing it or throwing it away. That's just one simple, stupid example. But the more I get into this, the deeper I get, the more I want to spend on quality stuff.
Yeah. So it goes back to making sure you can use it up, or you can, or if it's not worthwhile, do without.
Exactly.
What other comments or thoughts did you have for us?
I've been thinking about getting a straight razor for a long time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's an old joke. I think it's a Mormon joke. Is that our grandfathers built temples, and the worst thing that could happen to them was blasphemy. Our fathers built banks, and the worst thing that could happen to them is insanity. Our brothers are building shopping malls, and the worst thing that happen to them is sales resistance.
Interesting. I haven't heard that before.
I've never heard of that. But it's interesting. Whatever we're building, there's always going to be resistance to whatever we're doing. There's always drawbacks. But the more we can be simplified, the less we have to worry about.
The more robust you are.
Yeah, the more robust, or the more anti-fragile, which is what we've been talking about.
And I think for me, that process is stepping me backwards in time. That process is it's a simpler way of thinking. Because, and I don't know how to word this properly, our society is so complex by all the automation, by everything. And this is taking us off topic, but looking to a simpler time, it really, I think it makes a big difference in the quality of our lifestyle and in becoming resilient and self-reliant.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you for your call. Do you have any other comments before we let you go?
Oh, that's about it. Many times I've bought a year's worth of food and eventually before when it was nitrogen packed, it only lasted about 20 years, and then it started to go bad.
Yep.
I've got what I thought would be a year's supply of gasoline, and I couldn't put enough stable into it to make it last.
Yep.
And then when we moved, my daughter threw out half of our stuff. It just went
went
in the dumpster. My wife's brand new vacuum cleaner, she paid $40-50 for. Went in the dumpster too.
Oh wow!
I absolutely hate that.
Yeah, I think
when somebody doesn't know what they're doing is decides what you're gonna and that's always going to happen when you die.
That's what you're talking about is actually like the perfect point you're making for what today's topic is really about. Is it's if you're not using it and if it's not helping you, you're either taking what's eventually going to the dump and storing it in your way, and it's prohibiting you from a simpler, more higher quality of life, or it's taking away from what you could have been doing. There's an opportunity cost in everything we do. So I appreciate your call. I mean, you make a really great point.
Another thing that I got out of that comment as well is you mentioned a $50 vacuum that ended up in going to the garbage. Man, that nothing upsets me more. There isn't much that upsets me more than throwing away my hard-earned money, my hard-earned labor, right? Than something that I thought this was good quality. And it ended up, I can't even fix the thing and thrown it in the dumpster.
I can't tell you how many times I've tried to fix our vacuum. My wife, we've been married 6 years. My wife had the vacuum for probably 4 or 5 years before then, and it's still running. But it's a cheap vacuum.
Make do.
And we've, I can fix it. Oh, I can fix it. And it's always, I can fix it. And so we're going through things that we can use and using them, and things we can fix and fixing them. My car, for example.
Yeah, I was going to head there next.
I replaced the spark plugs, and I replaced, the ignition and the timing.
The coils and such.
The coils. And now I'm about to replace all the head gaskets, or not the head gaskets, the valve cover gaskets. Right? Those are simple things that I can do, but you can spend a little bit of money and get product, or you can spend a little bit more money and get a higher grade product. and then save the money by doing the work yourself.
And what I get out of that as well is that, the auto industry right now it's starting to turn downward. And the mentality is, oh, my car, it has 100,000 miles. I better get a new one, right? Mm-hmm. Or it's 2 years old. Oh, time to get a new,
Yeah.
That mentality. And things are actually being built better now than they were in the past couple of decades, especially vehicle-wise.
Engines are lasting longer.
And
they're built for the fuel that we use.
Yep. But I think because it's marketing, it's terrible, Scott, you marketing.
I've never marketed for the auto industry. I market for preparedness clients primarily. So I'm good to go.
No, you're good. So, but you know what I'm saying is that people have the mentality, oh, it's hit its lifespan, but that's not necessarily the case. My 4Runner, I've got 260,000 miles on it, and it's just like it's quality. It's fantastic.
I've got 314,000 miles on my
your
4Runner.
4Runner. Yeah.
I mean, if you pick a good vehicle and you take care of it and maintain it, it will last a long time.
But you have to have that
or
mentality.
Should last a long
yes,
time.
they have the mentality. Okay, it's broken. I'm going to fix it. Oh, this is breaking. That's breaking. Oh, we better get a new car. That's that alternative alternative lifestyle that I'm trying to get away from. Like, I'm going to fix it, or I can't do without. I need a car, right?
So I've spent almost $1,500 fixing my car over the last 2 years.
And what, it's worth $3,000 or $4,000?
Yeah, maybe.
Right, and that's where a lot of people would say, "Oh, it's only worth $4,000. I'm not going to put $2,000 into it. I'm going to buy a new car. Put that $2,000 into a new vehicle."
I've gotten a whole other year out of the car just from the $1,500,
and no monthly payments,
and no new monthly payments, no increase in insurance costs, no increase in registration fees. All those fees that you get when you buy a new car, that they stack up pretty fast.
And I think that's the essence of what I'm trying to point out here is that the life cycle, lifespan cost, I think, is a big part of it. And okay, yes, it's nice to have a new car every couple of years. You get all the newest features. You get a car that can be hacked and that can drive you off a cliff. Those kinds of things that can be important to some people, right? For me, I choose to make do.
You got to watch out. The Clintons might get into your car and derail you.
Oh, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So let's go back to the shoes.
Okay.
We started talking about shoes as being one of these quality items that are not so quality anymore, right? Yes, shoes wear out. You gotta, most people, most shoes nowadays are made to wear out, and you throw them away. You could probably fix them, but you probably can't fix them.
Well, it's the same with light bulbs. Mm-hmm. How long does a light bulb last nowadays?
Well, even the ones that say they'll last 10,000 hours or 100,000 hours, they don't last but a couple of years.
100,000 seconds. Here's the thing. Like, if you go down to the Edison plantation in Florida, they have all the original light fixtures and light bulbs still fully functional. They've been made to break because they wanted to have repeat customers.
Yep.
And a lot of the products out there are that way.
So what do we do about that? How do we live differently so that we don't need those bulbs? We go back to candles or oil lamps? Well,
those have to be replaced as well. Right? You have to refill the oil.
The wicks.
Or if it's candles, you've got to replace the candle.
Itself.
But you're not replacing the fixture itself when you're replacing a light bulb.
No, that's true.
So I'm just pointing out the fact that some things are made and meant to be fragile so that you have to replace them, right? And so maybe you spend a little bit more money on the lights that are going to last longer.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. So I think, again, it goes back to this mentality, this way of thinking, okay, what can I do to get more life out of this rather than just, okay, instantly I'm going to replace it because it's going bad or something like that.
Well, and also leaving the light on all the time reduces its lifespan because you're using it up faster. Mm-hmm. Right, so that's why, my house, it's like we open the shades as often as possible, let the sunlight in.
Turn all the lights
until
off.
The afternoon when it's baking the side of my house because we're, the back of our house is west-facing, and we're up on a hill, so we get a lot of light in the afternoon.
Which is great in the winter, but
not so fun in the summer. So we're going to be replacing those sliding glass windows with some hefty ones with some nice insulated barriers. But it all goes back to putting in something quality, right, using something quality. And I can put all those in myself. Right, I grew up with a general contractor as a father. I used to do fix and flips on homes. I've renovated a few homes of my own. It's something. It's a skill that can be learned.
Exactly, and that's one thing I have on my list here is that the alternative to our on-demand lifestyle is do it yourself, DIY. Just because someone can install it for you buy it from us and we'll install it cheap. We'll give you a killer deal. Still take that as an opportunity to put that money away into savings instead of spending it. Do it yourself, even though, it's probably going to take you twice as long.
If you can, some things you should not do yourself.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like if you're an electrician, you can run all your own electrical. You do all whatever you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, I don't recommend it because there's a lot of mistakes that can be made. You can hurt yourself. You can burn down your house. But it's within. My recommendation is within, like, wisdom. Use wisdom to determine if you should or shouldn't. You know, in the olden days, did everybody shoe their own horses?
No, they did not. You went to the blacksmith.
Right. There's still a reason to have someone around that can do certain skills. Can you operate on yourself effectively? Not likely. So it's always good to have someone around that can. And so associating with people that are like-minded, that have the same value set, because you can provide something they need, and they can provide something you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, and that's why I really believe in having a like-minded society. You know, you want to go bug out into a small town. I want to be in a medium-sized town.
I want to be under 1,000 people.
That's too small for me. Because if there's a pandemic,
Okay, under 1,500 people.
that's still too small for me.
1,500 is max.
It's
I don't
too
think so.
tiny.
Oh, wait, we could talk
We'll
about
argue.
the whole
We'll
other
argue
show.
for
This would be a whole other show.
weeks
about
on
that.
this. We've been arguing on that for actually
Yeah.
a couple of years.
So doing it
We're still
yourself, yes, I totally agree with you. There are some things that we probably should not attempt, especially if you're just beginning to do it yourself things.
Go find someone
I'm
and have
perfectly
them be your
comfortable
mentor.
doing a lot of plumbing and a lot of electrical. Yes, I'm still concerned about burning the house down or flooding the house, but you got to learn at some point. And there are certain levels to where you can safely do things, and then at some point you realize, okay, no, I need some help here, and then you can learn, and then you can do it for yourself the next time, right?
Right. And there's some things you can't, like, when it comes to preparedness, you can prepare for an awful lot, but there's some things that no matter how prepared you are, it's going to catch you off guard. Right. Case in point, the volcano in Guatemala. Right. It killed 62 people. There's over 300 injured, and it's the most impactful eruption it's had in 4 decades. Most damaging.
Guatemala.
It's the biggest, and it's in Guatemala, and it's been horrible. I mean, those 62 people, a lot of them were unable to be identified because the ash and everything burned off their fingerprints and made them unrecognizable.
But they knew about this volcano. It's been active for years. It's been having eruptions, and they should be prepared for it. I'm not.
But the point I'm trying to make is it erupted, and from the time of eruption to the time of the ash hitting, they couldn't get to a safe distance. Right. Same thing with Yellowstone. If Yellowstone ever decides to go, we live far away, but we're still in the ashfall area, and we're going to be gone. It doesn't matter. There are certain things that you can try to prepare for, but that you won't be able to overcome. And that's okay. But if it's something you could have overcome, that's your own fault. And so take time now to better prepare for the things that you can combat, the things you can handle, the things you can prepare for.
Yeah, and the super volcano that is Yellowstone, potentially, there's really nothing exceptional you can do other than the stuff you're already doing. Your food storage, water storage.
I could build a 30,000 square foot bunker underground and live there for a few decades.
You could build a concrete
but that's
house.
not going to help.
Exactly. You could build a house that's all concrete, and then with greenhouses and stuff to keep the ash. But yeah, it would be very cost prohibitive.
Yeah,
to say the least.
I want to build a concrete home with greenhouses. Yeah, that's going to be not cheap.
Power generation, food storage for 100 years or whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah, absolutely. Evaluating those things like super volcano, just not something I worry about, and I'm not worried about that at all. Really, I'm more worried.
You're
about...
a financial collapse guy.
I'm a financial collapse guy. I'm more of a. I think I'm turning more towards the social collapse as well. Financial social
the result
collapse,
of a financial collapse,
which will
social.
which
is the
collapse.
same result for an EMP.
But it could also happen. That's true. But the social collapse could also happen without the financial collapse.
True.
But it's kind of hand in hand there. But so those are the things I stay on top of the most.
For those of you who are Bible readers like I am, I've been stuck in Revelations lately and stuck in Isaiah, and those are like, holy crap, right? Yeah. If you just watch the social economy of the world, we're getting more and more agitated towards each other, right? So there's a problem already. But if you look at what's been prophesied, holy crap. We should be preparing. We should be working with other people to help them be prepared. The more people we can help to be better prepared, the greater resilience we are going to have, because the lone wolf never works. The lone wolf never survives. It's the pack. And
unless you're Rambo.
Nope. He still died.
Didn't Rambo die? Even the last
Not in the
one.
movies, but he died.
Eventually.
The character's going to die. Every character dies.
Okay.
He's fictitious.
I see what you're saying.
You can't use fake stuff to try to prove a point.
Dang it. I'm
Sound
trying
logic,
to
isn't it?
take you
I
always
know.
take the opposite role from me, so
I
I'm
know.
trying to do the same for you, and it doesn't work out very well.
Well, it was
But
the
you know what
wrong
I'm
one
saying.
to take the opposite on.
There are very few people who are well trained who could potentially live as a lone wolf.
My
but
shenanigans are stronger than your shenanigans.
They are. They definitely are. I'm not going to argue with that.
I don't know anyone in the survival world that I would think could survive long term as a lone wolf very well.
For an extended period of time, other than 6 months or so, no.
I mean, even in Utah folklore, we have a guy that did it for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
You know who I'm talking about?
I think so.
Porter Rockwell.
Porter Rockwell. That's who I was
Right?
thinking
A
about.
couple of years in the woods. But he came to town
Mm-hmm.
and snuck in and out and made purchases and kept up with friends. So it wasn't a true seclusion for 2 years, right?
There have been families in the Siberian in Siberia in Russia who have lasted 40 years on their own.
Family, not
Family.
a lone wolf.
Yes.
Family. We'll be right back after a message from our sponsors. You're listening to Prepper Talk Radio. Radio for the ready-minded. Welcome back to Prepper Talk Radio here at Ktalk 1640. We're so grateful for our sponsors. We're so grateful for our listeners, you guys, the guys that keep the lights on here. And you do that by supporting our sponsors. So thank you. We also want to thank all of you following us on social media. You can follow us at Twitter at Prepper Talk Rad. You can follow us on Facebook, Prepper Talk Radio. Really easy to get there.
Is that where we are, Prepper Talk Rad on Twitter?
On Twitter, yeah.
You figured it out? Do you have our password?
Yep, I do.
All right.
So it's
gonna start tweeting.
and it's tied to our account, so it's alive and active.
Oh, okay.
And I don't remember if we have an Instagram or not. You're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram as Prepared Guy.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, go follow. I like Instagram.
It's yeah.
It's more simple. I think that's why I like it.
doesn't
It's
let you
more
do
simple.
links.
I don't care. Well,
wanna
yeah,
share-
you tag things. You
can't link a cool thing that you find. You can only share somebody else's stuff.
Well, that's
but
coming
it
from
doesn't
you,
have
the
links.
marketer.
Well, no. Like if I find a cool article and I want to share it with all my friends on Instagram, I can't do
Well,
that.
no, that's true. Sometimes
I
I'll
can tag a
notice-
picture of me reading it and be like, "Hey, selfie, knowledge selfie. I'm reading something that looks like
and
I'm a
somebody
moron."
shows some cool gear, like, oh, I think I want that, and then I have no way to connect to it.
You got to search it.
I got to search it. I mean,
Right?
yeah, big deal. I got to go over to the computer or whatever and type it in.
What if
rather
they
than
don't
just
tell you
clicking a
what
link.
brand it is or anything?
Well,
Like
then
now you've got to
exactly.
be the ultimate
I got to do
investigator.
my own research. Which, gosh dang it, I got to do my own research.
You're not going to buy anybody else's gear that they recommend anyways because you like your own gear.
Well, I'd like to at least try it out. So here's one. I've got one in my hand. We're kind of going off track here.
no, we're not.
Okay,
we're talking
cool.
about
All right. We were
getting
talking about
quality
something else.
things.
So at PrepperCon, we talked a lot about knives. We're there, and there was one in particular I had in my hand, and I was just oogling it and fondling it, and I just really liked that knife. So I found another one that at first when I saw it, and you had the same reaction, Scott, we looked at this knife like, what is that knife? It doesn't look like a regular knife. It has a weird spear point
It's
is what
a
it is.
unique
It's
shape.
very unique shape. We're like, what is up with this knife? But it was, we had Matt Graham at PrepperCon. And I know you got to hang out with him a little bit. I did not get to.
Really nice guy. Very kind. Very knowledgeable. In St. George, they call him the Tarzan of St. George.
He just walked away from his car and
Parked it at a Walmart because all the stuff at Walmart's crap,
yeah,
and just left and was gone 6 months into the wild.
just off
And
living
he
off the
does
land.
that all the time. He's going to do it again here pretty soon.
Yeah, I would like to say that I could do that. I would love to do that, but I don't know that is the case until I actually do it and then realize this sucks. But anyway, so Matt Graham designed this knife. It's a Condor knife. The brand is Condor. They're made in El Salvador, and they are not what I would call a high quality knife. That's what so I thought. That had always been my initial impression. Condor, they use a cheaper steel. It's the 420. It's not the 440. I mean, even 440 in my mind is kind of cheap. It's not a 1095. It's not a
For those of you
a
just tuning
higher-end
in,
steel.
Shane
I'm
is
just jabbering about knives.
he
here.
is a tech guy and he is a steel snob when it comes to knives.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. A steel snob.
He's a steel snob.
So yeah, I've always looked down on anything less than 440. I mean, I won't even look at 440.
Well, what
steel.
like
it's a stainless steel 440 ABC.
let's talk a couple different brands. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you turn your nose down at like Cold Steel?
Typically, yes,
Do you turn your nose down on like Gerber?
absolutely.
Do you turn your nose down at Equinox? Victorinox.
Oh, Victorinox, no.
Why not?
I have had Victorinox since I was a kid, and they're high quality.
What's
and I still
what's
carry
the steel
Victorinox.
grade?
It is a stainless steel. It is a 440. Well, it's a 440C steel.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, but the thing
not
is,
a 1095.
Okay. The thing
not
is,
a steel
it's
snob.
Okay, listen.
I'm just saying.
I know
you
you-
should
I know
be
you are.
open to more options,
And that's exactly where I'm getting to.
because
It's
hardening
exactly,
and processing and the different things you can do.
exactly what I'm getting to. So,
Okay.
so yeah, like with the Victorinox, it is a basic stainless steel, but they're very small pocket knives.
I wish
You're
you
not
guys
putting a
could
lot of
see
leverage
me
on this thing.
laughing.
My face turning a little red here. Scott, let me talk.
This is the one area that I can get your goat, and then I don't want to apologize, but I should apologize. I'm sorry.
So I've been a bit of a knife snob, I guess you could say, when learning about steel and so forth. So when I found this Condor knife, I'm like, it's only 420 HC, which is a high carbon. High carbon steel is good. I mean, it's easy to sharpen. It stays sharp. It's good steel, but it rusts more quickly, even though this
Right.
is 420 is a kind of a stainless steel, right? So I opened up my mind and said, okay, Matt knows what he's talking about. Matt knows what he's doing. Why did he design this knife this way? Why did he use this steel? And so I bought one, and I've been fondling it and chopping with it and using it for what it's meant for. And we'll put it through more paces, but my eyes are beginning to open, Scott, to the lesser quality. I don't know how else to put this.
Different quality.
Different quality.
It's not lesser quality if it's different purpose, right?
Yes,
if
that
it's
is a
used
great
for a
way to
different
put it.
purpose, you need to understand what it's being used for. Like this knife is more designed so that you can maintain it in the wild.
Yes, because
I'm
the
not going to be able to
420
do as much with a 1095 steel as I can with this 425.
Right, the 420 is going to definitely be
The
softer, and it has been, of course, tempered along the edge to hold an edge better. But it is, being a softer steel, it's easier to maintain in the wild with a natural stone or something like that.
Which is more ideal for a bushcrafter.
Which is more ideal for especially long term.
So you have to look at
long-term
what
bushcrafter.
you're going to be using your knife for, short and long term, if it makes sense, and what the material's made out of.
And I also believe I've been a little on the brainwash side when it comes to steel. It's kind of like, I took the red pill, and I am beginning to wake up in every aspect.
Neo.
But in the knife community, of course, they're just like with computers or everything else. Everything gets better. The steel gets better. They do a new blend. They do a new formulation, whatever, of steel. So it goes from S30 to S60, then S100, then S120, and it just has to get better. But it's kind of like with smartphones, they kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and they got to a point where they just exploded back the other way, right? They started to get bigger. So I'm kind of seeing that for me with knives and I think that also comes into play with Michael Hawk's tool that he has, his shovel, the hasp. It's kind of this lower. Well, I guess I'm just going to refer to it as a lower quality steel, but it is very easy to maintain with files, especially that with a file and with stones, and it serves a purpose. It's meant to be beat up. It's meant to be used and reused and shaped and reshaped, and I think I'm beginning to get it because I do like 1095. I like the higher grade steels, but they are far more expensive.
Well,
so
all
are they
of you
really
knife
worth
guys, it's kind of funny to walk into your forums and it's like someone slapped somebody else's kid. That's the conversation level all the time. And you guys that are knife guys, if you've got a knife that you love and there's certain aspects of it that you're just like, I'm loyal to this, and someone says anything mean or disparaging towards it, I've seen you guys go off. It's pretty funny. It's very entertaining, and so that's why I can get your goat.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Because you're borderline on that edge, because you're a steel snob. Right, but that's not just for knives. You're that way for all tools.
A lot of different things.
Making sure it's the right steel for the right
quality
tool.
and just in everything in particular. There are certain things that I like done or made certain ways, and if it's not done that way, then I usually avoid it. So Condor has been a brand that I've avoided for quite some time, just because their fit and finish isn't quite as nice as like an SE or some of these other more expensive knives, and they are twice the price in many cases, if not more. So this is a knife that's about half the price, and it's a big 8-inch knife. It's a pretty big knife.
8-inch blade.
8-inch long blade, and the thickness is about 1/8 of an inch, which is not as thick as like my Essie, which is
that's bigger than 1/8 of an inch,
which is usually like a 1/4 inch or 3/16.
Yeah, that's
but
slightly
again,
bigger
it serves
than
it's like 0.12 or whatever. But
it's a good strong spine.
I mean it's a good knife. It really is, and the more I'm using it, the more I'm liking this knife. There are, of course, some things I would see what I would change, but then that increases the cost, right? And okay, but then would I use this knife for what it's meant for if it costs so much. And I mean, probably not. So that's just one thing I wanted to point out to you is there are still a lot of good budget options out there. You don't have to go spend the most on a knife because it gets to a point of diminishing return, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you get to this S30V steel. Do you need anything higher than that? I don't think so. I'm not.
Well, it all comes down to the need and the use, right? And that's where our first, I guess our only color, use it up, make it do.
Or do it up.
Oh man, I started in the wrong spot. So using the right tools, buying the right tools, buying the right gear, or making the right things, you can make something last longer if you care about it. So make sure that when you're going to buy something, you put your heart into it and you thoughtfully think it through. Is this the right tool? Is this the right gear? Am I buying the right food storage? Am I buying the right, cooking method? Am I buying the right shoes? Like, how many of us buy shoes that last 4 or 5 months, right? If you're a runner, your shoes should only last so many miles, and then you're replacing them before they break down, right?
You're just throwing them away and then get new ones. Yeah.
And then you talk to guys like Tyler White.
Yeah.
And he runs in not flip-flops, but a sandal.
Or he has some really nice whites that are custom-made boots.
Yep. And so he's got different things that he does things in, but it's everything he's got is high quality. And one of the things he's turned me on to is this whole barefoot running thing, and I'm just like, I don't do it because I'm not a runner yet, but I used to be years and years ago. But it's interesting because I'm a very barefoot guy. When I'm home, I'm barefoot. When I have the opportunity, I'm barefoot as much as I can because I want to keep the strength in my feet. And the more we're not relying on a shoe, the more strength, dexterity, and balance, the better our feet are going to withstand things. I don't like arch sports because it's a false support. It actually hinders your foot. There's so many things that we've done that have actually weakened our feet over time so that now you almost have to have an arch support or you have to have an orthotic because you've pushed it past its limit.
And of course that leans toward a lot of other things in life where we're told we need this, like a pillow. I never grew up using a pillow, and now I use a pillow all the time and I get headaches. So when I ditch my pillow, I'm better off.
Headaches are gone.
Yeah, my neck will wake up good. Just wonder why I got rid of my pillow. So just things like that. We need. I am doing my best to rethink. And another aspect is the flint and steel.
Oh yeah,
that's another thing I'm digging into is flint and steel. In our last couple of minutes here, is okay. Even a lot of these bushcrafters, they use their ferro rods, their fire steel, whatever you want to call it. They use bow drills, hand drills, which I get that. But why did we go away from flint and steel? Because the more I'm getting into it, the more I'm thinking, man, this is really the easiest, best way to light a fire with a rock you can find most anywhere. Wandering around Utah.
I still think a lighter's pretty easy.
No, absolutely. Lighters might go too.
But I know where you're going.
It's
things you can make and find, right? How can you make? Exactly. Can you make a big lighter?
No, but once you have a piece of steel that you can strike against a piece of chert, a piece of flint, that steel is never going to wear out.
But where do you find your chert?
There are specific places in Utah, but a lot of places. I mean, I was wandering through the hills above Heber, found some really nice chert. And it throws some great sparks. So a lot of places you wander around here, you can find rocks. It doesn't have to be chert. It has to be kind of a glass-like rock, right? You can tell it's very smooth. It has sharp edges. Those types of rocks work well in creating sparks. So it doesn't have to be flint per se.
Right.
But those are things that are renewable. Well, not renewable. The things that you can find
it's
more. It's
a natural resource. So
it's a resource. Yeah, I'm not gonna run out of Bic lighters. I'm not gonna run out. My ferro rods, they'll wear out eventually.
Right.
And you can't use it anymore.
And it's gone. And then where do you go do?
Exactly. So if you have a piece of steel and you have flint, you can make your own char cloth. You can make your own punk wood. I mean. And there's things that you can.
So for those
that
listening,
are sustainable.
What is punk wood?
Punk wood is kind of like, okay, think of your fireworks. When you get your fireworks, you get a piece of punk, right? You get this kind of soft wood that you light on fire and it stays on fire, and you use that to light your fireworks, right? You blow on it and it just glows like an ember. That's a type of punk wood, and you have to know what you're looking for in creating a punk wood.
Gotcha.
And you have a tin, and you char this punk wood, and you add more and more to it, and you use that just like you would a char cloth. It actually works even better. And I think a lot of these bushcrafters get into the this pattern. Oh, we need to manufacture some char cloth, or I need to. It's kind of staged.
Well, that's what I was taught in Scouts.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Like,
kind of
you need
staged.
to-
It's fake. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not real world. Real world is sourcing a piece of steel and then going and finding a rock and going and finding your tinder, something that is sustainable that you can always replicate. Whereas eventually you'll run out of char cloth. Eventually you'll run out of big lighters. Eventually you'll run out of fire steel. So those are the things where my mind is going, like with these knives.
Simplifying and going back in history to find what's the origin.
Exactly. Great way to describe it there.
And it's funny because that's the cue for our music. Thank you so much for listening to Prepper Talk Radio today. You can always find us on Facebook. Listen to us on our podcast. Find it at Spreaker. Find it at iTunes and iHeart. It's Prepper Talk Radio. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll be back next Friday with more shenanigans, fun, and preparedness wisdom.